Hello and welcome. This is Danielle Watson with the Danielle Daily. I am talking today about how to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. I'm so excited that you guys are joining me here today. I'm trying out a new on-location shoot. This is actually the balcony of my condo, and I'm hoping that you guys can see some of the beautiful fall foliage out behind me. There's some trees that are starting to turn red and yellow, and they're just gorgeous, so I thought it would be awesome if you guys join me here. We're also having a wonderful 85-degree weather day here in beautiful Northern Virginia, which is highly unusual for October, so I'm really happy that I'm able to be outside. It looks like several of you are just joining in. Again, this is Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. Today we'll be talking about how to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. I would love it if you guys would like this broadcast. That will help other people receive it in their notifications so they can join us here for our little positivity party. It feels so good. I've already seen some hearts going across the screen and some thumbs up, so thank you so much. That lets me know that you're receiving value from what I'm sharing and lets me know what we should talk about in future broadcasts. So thank you very much for that. So every single weekday during the month of October here at the Danielle Daily, you know that we're having a positivity party. It's happening at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. And I love today's topics: how to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. So we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to give you today's note to self. The consensus has been that you guys really enjoy that note to self and that you've been writing it down and using it in your lives. So thank you for letting me know how that's been useful to you. And let me know if the sound is okay here. It looks like Amber Parnell has joined us, Julio Gonzalez, and Nancy Lukasic. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Now, if you're new to Facebook Live, you may not realize that in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, there's a little gray box that says share. If you click on that, it will share it with other people who you're connected with, and that's a great way for people to know that you're watching and to invite them to join us for a little positivity party. Also, if you like these broadcasts and you want to make sure that you receive notifications about them in the future, in the upper right-hand corner of your screen, if you're watching on your mobile device, there should be 3 little dots in a horizontal row. If you click those, you can select to receive notifications. So, like I said, today we are talking about how to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. And I gave a lot of thought to this topic. I actually went to Pete's Coffee this morning and sat there and thought about what is it that I wanted to share about this. I know that it's been a practice of mine learning to regulate my inner voice and to tell it what I want it to tell me rather than let it go sort of like a little gremlin in the back of my head. And last year, as you know, I wrote my notes to self every single day. I wrote a positive note to myself, and that was really a big part, I think, of solidifying that inner cheerleader voice. So now when I hear myself having negative thoughts or judgmental thoughts about myself, I'm able to very quickly turn it around because I think about, what kind of note to self would I want to write. So today I'm going to teach you some strategies for changing that inner voice into something that's a lot more positive, that's going to help you reach your goals, that's going to help you communicate better with other people because you don't have all this sort of self-doubt going on in the back of your mind. But if you're just joining us, again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. I'm so happy to have you guys here. This is wonderful. There would be nothing worse than talking into my phone by myself. That would just be plain weird. So I really appreciate you guys being on the other end there to give me somebody to chat with. So again, turning that inner critic into that inner cheerleader. What do I have to share about it? Well, the main thing that I want you to go away with from this broadcast with is knowing that it just takes practice. That's the number one way to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader, to just practice over and over, turning those negative, critical thoughts into something positive. So when you find yourself saying something negative to yourself, like, oh, I can't do this, or I'm stupid, or I failed, or this is too hard, to just stop for a moment and think about what would be the exact opposite of that statement. And even if it doesn't feel true at the time, just start. And even if it's thought, just start saying that to yourself. Maybe write it down. I know for me, writing something down really helps to reinforce, whether that means actually writing it physically with a pen, or whether that means that I type it into a Google Doc, whatever that is for you. And I encourage you to keep a collection of these. And so the next time that you're having one of those really difficult days where it's hard to get out of your own head, it's hard to find a more positive thought, you can find this little collection of positive thoughts that you've had in the past. So turning your inner critic into your inner cheerleader takes practice. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to take forever, but it does mean that you practice it over and over and over again. So having a commitment to changing those critical thoughts into something more positive is something that I can't even express to you how valuable that is, because the only person who you're always going to have with you, no matter where you're going, what you're going through, or where you are in life, is yourself. So if you can find a way to become your own biggest fan, your own inner cheerleader, your own best friend, that is going to take you so far in life. So practice turning those critical thoughts, whatever they are, into more positive, more uplifting, more forward thinking, more I'm okay with myself sorts of thoughts. I really recommend that you write them down. I recommend that you collect them somewhere. So the other thing I was thinking about as I was sitting at Pete's this morning having a delicious caramel latte was this mistaken idea that mistakes that we make are who we are. I want to really start talking about more in these broadcasts how the mistakes that we make, or the things that we do wrong, or even the negative thoughts we have, those are just something that we do. It is not who we are. The mistakes that we make are something that we do. They are not who we are. So sometimes we'll think to ourselves, oh, I failed at that, or oh, I'm not good at that, or oh, I messed up, or oh, I hurt that person's feelings. But that's just something you did. It isn't your identity. You made a mistake. It doesn't mean you are a mistake. You may have hurt someone's feelings. It doesn't mean you're a hurtful person. Amber's left a comment. So Amber says, I tell my daughters that having negative thoughts is normal, but that when that happens, they need to replace that negative thought with 3 positive ones. Yes, I love that recommendation. So negative thoughts are completely normal. There's actually nothing wrong with them. If you were only having positive thoughts all the time, I think I would probably be running you down trying to find out your secret. I think part of being human is having those negative thoughts. Those negative thoughts sort of tune our attention to what's not going the way we'd like it to go, and it prompts us to, hey, let's think about that in a different way. Let's think about that the way that we'd actually like to have it. And I think that it's only through practicing not focusing on what it is we actually want and what it is we'd actually want to think that we end up having that be sort of our normal state of mind. So when you're able to take those negative thoughts and hear them and convert them into something positive, or as Amber would recommend, into 3 something positives, that becomes your practice. And so that becomes your default mode. So you end up thinking positive thoughts more of the time. And when you're thinking more positive, more self-loving thoughts more of the time, that's going to inform how you behave. And when you behave in a more positive, self-loving way, you're going to get more positive, self-loving results. Think about that. So you change the way you think, you change the way you behave, and then the way that the world responds to you changes as well. So it's like a little domino process. So remember what I was saying about how mistakes are something we do, it's not who we are. I hope that you wrote that down. Really think about the things that you convict yourself of on a regular basis, whether it's being selfish or unhelpful, and think about, what kind of judgment you're really putting on yourself, and if it's really a mistake, if maybe it isn't who you actually are. Maybe you're not a selfish person. Maybe you just made a certain decision. Oh, it looks like we have an entry here from Julio. Let's see before my screen scrolls up. So Julio says, I think transforming our inner critic into our inner cheerleader means that we have to face our inner critic and create a positive path out of those fears. Absolutely, yes. So for some people, the difficulty is just recognizing that we're having thoughts that really don't feel very good. And so sometimes that takes actually saying your thoughts out loud. I don't know about you, but when I get into really crazy mode, one of the best ways for me to recognize that's happening is to say my thoughts out loud and then recognize, oh my God, I would never say that to anybody else, or oh my God, I would never want anyone to hear me saying that. It's so horrible, it's so mean. So recognizing that, and then giving yourself some alternative thoughts to think. Amber says, I try to practice with them so that if they say or voice something negative, we brainstorm the 3 positive ones. It makes them feel good to voice and acknowledge their success rather than obsessing on the negative. Yeah. So I love that Amber is practicing with her daughters, that she's modeling the way, that she's showing them how to do it. So think about what she said there, taking one negative thought and then just sort of outnumbering it with 3 positive ones. So let's do an example. So one negative thought could be, I'm a failure. I know a lot of people that is their number one fear in life is failure. So let's use that one because I think it's fairly universal. So negative thought, I'm a failure. Let's think of 3 positive thoughts. I'll think of some. If you guys want to type some into the comments, I would love that. So instead of thinking I'm a failure, you could say, wow, I'm really new at this. Yesterday I was doing this broadcast and it dropped about 3/4 of the way through, and I had to open a new broadcast, and then later I wanted to take the 2 videos and splice them together so that I would have one video that I could upload onto my YouTube channel, the Danielle Daily. I had no idea what I was doing, none whatsoever. And I could have said, hey, I'm a failure at this, as I was going through and struggling and having difficulty doing it. But what I said was, hey, I'm new at this. And then I thought, wow, the fact that I knew to Google this to even get started is pretty impressive. And then I took the next step, which was, wow, it took me a while to do this, but I actually did it. So you can use a very specific example. So I'm a failure can be, I'm new at this. It can be, I'm learning to get better at this. I'm really eager to be good at this if it's something that you're pursuing. So think about using those. Let's see what else we've got. Amber says, I have so many opportunities to learn and experience new things. I love that. Maida says, I can't watch while I'm at work, but we'll try to watch later. Awesome. Thank you, Maida. Yeah, catch the broadcast later. That would be great. Thank you for those of you who are sharing the broadcast with your friends. I'm starting to receive messages from people whom I don't actually know saying that these broadcasts are inspiring them, that they're enjoying watching them, and to keep going. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So if you're just tuning in, again, I'm Danielle Watson. This is the Danielle Daily. You can catch me here every single weekday during the month of October. We're here at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I'm trying out a new venue for video today. I've got these beautiful trees that are starting to turn into fall colors behind me, so I hope you guys are enjoying that view. This is actually from my balcony, which is 4 stories up. I love my little bird's nest way up here. It's a lot of fun. And today we're talking about how to turn your inner critic into your inner cheerleader. So we've pretty much outlined the steps here. Recognizing that you're having thoughts that you don't want to have, turning those thoughts into 1 or more positive thoughts. I recommend that you write down those more positive thoughts so that you have a collection, and recognizing that those thoughts or whatever it is you're judging yourself for are not who you are. They are just something that you do or something that you think. Julio says, nice day in Nova. Yes, it's gorgeous here. It's 85 degrees out in mid-October. Doesn't get any better than that. We have no humidity. It's awesome. So in just a moment, I'm going to give out today's note to self. As you know, that was a project of mine last year where I wrote a note to self every single day for a year. And that was part of loving myself through a very difficult experience. And as you might notice, writing a daily positive note to self was something that really helped me to change those negative, critical thoughts into cheering thoughts. I was always looking for some reason to call myself out for doing well that day, or to remind myself that life was getting better, that things were moving forward, even though there were always parts of my day that didn't feel that way. And even now, even though now life is going very well, I feel happy most of the day, almost every day, I'm just like you. There is something that comes up where I'm not feeling very positive about it. But what I've learned is to notice when that happens and to replace that thought with something that feels better to me. And that doesn't mean denying that things are happening in your life that you'd prefer not happen, or that I pretend that everything is perfect all the time. It just means recognizing those critical thoughts or recognizing those negative thoughts and choosing something that feels a little bit better. So sometimes that thought has to be, well, at least there's tomorrow. I know I've had to use that one before on days that were just really bad, and there's nothing wrong with having a difficult day. There's nothing wrong with having a negative thought. It's completely normal and natural, but think about, how much do you want that to control your life? How much do you want that to control how you feel about yourself? How much influence do you want that to have on how you're behaving in your world? And if you want to have more control over how you respond to the world and to feel like you have a better grip on how the world is going to respond to you, then think about trying to change those critical thoughts into more positive thoughts. So it looks like Trish Elting is watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. So in just a sec, I'm going to give you today's note to self. I so appreciate you guys who have liked the broadcast, who have sent little hearts across the screen, a little thumbs up. I love that so much. It's so encouraging. You know, one of the critical thoughts that I've certainly had during these broadcasts is, oh my goodness, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I had one day where I started the broadcast and I had the camera turned on its side, and everybody gets to see that. And that's not the easiest thing for somebody like me, who's a big overachiever, who wants to be seen doing things well. But I turned that around by telling myself, hey, at least you're doing this, at least you're trying, you're getting your message out there, you're letting people see that you're human, you are going through the process, you're getting better at these every single day. When I first started these, I had to have notes, and now the last couple days I've actually had no notes. Today I wrote down just a couple of things because I wanted to make sure I had the exact right note to self that I had in mind. So I'm getting better and better. Yesterday the broadcast got cut off 3/4 of the way through, and I had the presence of mind to hit record again and start a new one, so I felt good about that. A few days back, I had a gentleman, I was broadcasting in a public place. He told me I was being too loud and asked me to keep it down, and I was able to continue with the broadcast. I quieted down a little bit to respect his request, but you know, things didn't go perfectly, but instead of dwelling on how, oh, that was a bad choice, I shouldn't have been talking so loud, or I shouldn't have been in public, or I'm not doing this right, I was able to go, wow, I'm really getting better at this. I was able to roll with the punches. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself for actually doing this, because it's not the easiest thing in the world to just get on and talk off the cuff and hope that you say something that's worth people watching and that inspires them. It looks like Dietrich's here. Thank you. Julio says, you are getting better every single day. Thank you. I feel it. I really do. I feel that I am improving every single day. And I can't tell you guys how much the feedback you give me helps me. It helps me to understand what I'm communicating that's valuable to you, how you want me to talk about the different things that we talk about, and so I so appreciate that. So today's note to self, hopefully you have a pen and paper or you have a Google Doc open where you can write this down. My preference is to actually write these on a Post-it note and post them somewhere in my house where I can look at them, like on the mirror, on the door frame by the front door, or my very favorite place if I really want to make sure that I look at something on a regular basis is actually to post this on the refrigerator, because I like food and I know I'm going to visit the refrigerator several times throughout the day. So here's today's note to self. Go ahead and write it down. So when I write them to myself, I write, Dear Self. And today, note to self is, Dear Self, like yourself anyways. And then I usually sign it, Love me. So you can write, Dear Self, like yourself anyways, love me, or love your name. So whatever your inner critic is saying, just decide that you're going to like yourself anyways, that you're likable anyways by others as well. But really, the most important part of the message is that you need to like yourself. You need to change your own thoughts about yourself. And it is incredible how, as you change how you think and feel about yourself, the way that you respond to other people and the way that other people respond to you automatically changes. It's so much less work than trying to get other people to stop criticizing you or to stop treating you in a certain way. Start treating yourself the way that you want to be treated. Start thinking in the way that you want to think about yourself, and just watch the ripple effect. So that is today's edition of the Danielle Daily. I'm Danielle Watson. Thank you so much for watching. I will read today's note to self one more time, and then I'll sign off. Again, please give me your feedback, whether it's in the comments or you want to private message me. Share this little positivity party, this broadcast with your friends. I've had several people recently who are people I've never met before who've sent me messages saying how much they enjoy these broadcasts, how much they're inspiring them. And that's really all I could ask for, is that somebody receives value out of this 10 or 15 minutes that I set aside each day. Again, you can catch me here tomorrow and every weekday throughout the month of October at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. I encourage you to subscribe to receive notification about these broadcasts, because after October, I won't be doing these at the exact same time. And so if you've signed up to receive notifications, you'll know when I'm on so that you can join the broadcast. So today's note to self, again, was Dear Self, like yourself anyways. So whatever thoughts you're having about yourself, if it's too much to turn it around, use that one. Like yourself anyways. Whatever's going on, whatever you're thinking, like yourself anyways. I promise you, whatever is going on, whatever you're thinking, like yourself anyways. It's worth doing. All right? I will see you guys here tomorrow. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you guys. Send me your feedback, and until next time, this has been the Danielle Daily. Thank you. Bye.